place where you can basically, it's the internal code editor. You can write code, execute, test code. You can debug for errors, check for errors, run test classes, run SOQL queries. Like let's look at a small example here. Now this is your developer console. You can create new classes from here. You can create a new Apex class or open existing classes. I have opened a class over here. You can check for logs over here. Right now there are none. You can check for test classes over here. You can check for the query, run queries over here. You can check the performance of your Visualforce page over here, and you can check for any debugger, any problems in your code, like basically compilation. This is how you compile code. Suppose right now it's not connected, so suppose if I try to save it with some error, so right now it's giving me some error. So you'll get, basically this is where you will get the what you call compilation problems over here. So you can fix the code and save it over here. So developer console is a very useful tool for Apex programming. Okay, so it is actually the internal code editor itself. Now let's look at the data types. The data types are similar to all other primitive data types that you have, excepting for the new one, like for example you have ID. Others are integer, long, double, decimal, boolean, string. ID is basically a data type of Salesforce to store record IDs. Either you can have a list of IDs or a single ID stored. So this is unique to Salesforce Apex. Okay, then you have date and date time data types also. Now if you look at all the data types that we have in addition to primitive, so primitive has other data types we already seen, like what are those data types over there. In addition to that, you have something called as S object variable. Now we saw, like, what is account, contact and all that, right? So each of them is called as a S object. Data is stored in Salesforce as a S object or table, and each of that object can be stored in a variable. You can create a variable of that S object type. You can also have a generic S object type and then cast it to a particular object. What I'm saying is you can create something called as an S object data type, and then you can cast it to account, table, or a contact S object, or a custom object of yours. Collection is a list, map and set. There are different data collection types. They store the array of primitives or S object. Basically it's an array. List, map is a key set, value pair. So we'll take a look at it. And then enums is an abstract data type. So these are the total number of data types that you have. Please remember that you have something unique in Salesforce Apex, that is ID and S objects. Okay, you can have a S object type variable. Now when we look at the collections, the question can ask, the interview can ask, what are the types of collection? You will say list, map and set. So what is a list? It's multi-dimensional and not ordered. Map is a key value pair, and set is an unordered collection with no cannot contain any duplicates. Okay, collection types can be nested up to 4 levels and max 5. Okay, so basically, now why do you want to use this? So the question will be, why lists are so important? Okay, the interviewer might try to ask more. That's because they're used to store records written from SOQL, and you can group it by particular values, or you can have a lookup criteria, and you can store it in list, set and maps, and all your data manipulation you will do inside list 90% of the times. Okay, the reason is why we use list is to bypass governor limits. Okay, you have to bypass governor limits when you write Apex, otherwise you will run into DML errors. So that is why you need list. How to use this and how list is used we'll see in the upcoming videos.